Okay, my friends, good afternoon and welcome to VoiceOver In and Out for this Monday. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. We certainly are here, praise God, and we're looking forward to some great content today. I am having a bit of a technical issue, totally unrelated to Zoom, but I've had an appointment, a meeting that was supposed to have been done about 20 minutes ago and is still not finished. And so I may have to mute very abruptly to respond to requests from the other person involved here. So I'm trying to do both at one time. And I apologize for that. It wasn't supposed to overlap. We were supposed to be completely done by about 1:40 p.m. and Eastern time, and it just didn't work out that way. So I do apologize in advance for that. But we are going to begin, and hopefully, if I have to mute very abruptly, we will be able to be right back for you. In the interim, we do have trainer Sarah with us, so I know she can hold down the fort if that happens. How you doing, Sarah?
Hi. Good. How are you doing?
Hi. How? Good. So we will begin here today, and as I said, if that happens, which it probably will, because I'm waiting for somebody to return. But Sarah, you can feel free to at that point, just continue, or you can take questions. You are co-host, so you have complete freedom here. And we are going to begin with a couple of reminders, first of all, for everybody that we have begun posting the videos on YouTube. We should be completely caught up by the end of the day today with all of the sessions leading up to this week. And then, each week we'll post them after the session. So we should have all the videos up there. We did send out a link to a playlist, which will directly take you to all of the videos that we have. So if you are looking to listen back and to get anything you missed from a previous session, you should be good to go. Also, other than that, I think we're ready to continue. And we're going to attempt to cover a couple of apps today. But before we do cover a couple of apps, we're going to talk about one other area that we have not addressed yet. And I really feel very strongly that this is quite important. We don't want to miss out on how to set up a proper contact card for yourself. Now, this is something which Trainer Rita included in her documentation. So that's already been sent out to you. And we are going to talk about it today, because if you are like me and you before using an iPhone came from another platform, maybe Windows, or, using some other form of personal digital assistant or something, you may not have understood at the time the importance of having a proper contact card. This tends to manifest itself in ways like this. Your contacts, say something like mom and dad as one contact, right? And they don't have the actual name, they just have that. Or maybe, John or something, okay, no last name, right? How many Johns do we know? So when this happens, there's a couple of problems. The main problem is it becomes really challenging to work with your contacts. What I mean is, I can ask Siri all kinds of things, and Siri knows the answer. And I'm going to use a second device to demo that a little bit later, hopefully once this other phone call appointment is over with, so I have a little more freedom to be working and not distracted there. But I can ask Siri, for example, when is my wife's birthday? She not only knows who my wife is, but she knows when her birthday is. All right, and we'll demo that in a little bit. And another example is I can say, take me home. And Siri knows where my home is and can automatically give me proper directions. And these are just a couple of the numerous examples of the powerful things you can do if your contact card is entered properly. It also helps to enter other people's contact cards properly because you can access them more easily. Having a proper contact card for yourself, as well as for everyone else in your contact list, really does make for a much better experience all the way around. And I know it may, if you have a lot of contacts already, it may, take a while, and it may involve a lot of manual, one by one editing of entries, but I'm telling you, in the end, it's going to pay off and it's going to be well worth it. Now, I'd like to define, what do we mean by a proper contact card? Well, a proper contact card is actually very easy to define. First of all, if it is an individual person, it has a first and a last name, one contact card per person. I don't care if they are married. I don't care if they live in the same house. I don't care if it's a 3-year-old who doesn't even have an iPhone yet. One name per contact card, complete with a first and last name. Okay. Then as the person gets older, you can add hang on, folks. Yeah. Much in before apologize. Which is that we really want to have one contact card per person with a first and a last name. Now, if you have, a nickname for that person, you can add that in a special nickname field. Okay, there are additional fields that you can show that don't show by default, but if you go down to the bottom of the screen where you're adding a contact, you can turn them on. So if you have a nickname for them, go ahead and add it. If they are related to you, they are mom or dad or your son or daughter or your wife or husband, you add that. There's an option to add relationships. Okay, so you can add related names, and then you can indicate how you are related. So those are options to add within the contact. The other thing you want to do is properly denote the phone numbers and email addresses and physical addresses by the kind of entry that it is. For example, is it a home phone number? Is it an iPhone? Just a general mobile phone? A work number? Same thing with email. And all of these have options. And you can have multiple. I have a home phone, a work phone, an iPhone, all these things. You can do that within one contact card. But you definitely want to specify what kind they are. And again, there's a button to pick that with each one that you add. You also want to put their birthday in the contact card. Do not put the birthday on the calendar yourself. I used to make that mistake, and I still have a few of them that I've left it on the calendar, but I've also gone and added it into the contact card. Put the person's birthday in the contact card, because there is a special birthdays calendar that automatically gets created when you do that. And so that is the proper way to add a person's birthday, not as a calendar event, but rather as part of their contact card. And it will automatically go to the Apple Calendar in the correct place. And it will sync with iCloud and everything like that. And of course, all your contact cards sync with iCloud, which means that you add a contact to one device, it shows up on all of your devices. You change a contact on one device, it changes on all the devices, and so on. So these are all very important. Now, I also want to talk about how to add businesses to your contacts. Instead of a first and a last name, you use the company name field, and you can put the name of the business in the company name field, and the phone number could maybe be Maine or whatever category you choose to call it. There are, again, tons and tons of choices: main, work, mobile, all these different things. And you can even add custom ones if you need to. So you put the company name instead of a first and last name. But what if I have a business where I do have a specific person that I also work with? So in this case, you're going to use all three fields. You're going to use the first name field, the last name field, and the company name field. But here's the little trick. Order matters. Put the company name in first. Literally, when you open it and you add a new contact, skip over the first and last name fields, go to the company name field and type the name of the business first. Then swipe back and go to the swipe left and go to the first and last name fields and enter those after you've entered the company name. What this does is it enables the contact to be sorted by the name of the business and to display the name of the business first at priority rather than the first and the last name. So you still have that person that you work with in there, but it's not the top priority now. It's the name of the company that is actually shown. It's sorted by the name of the company. So that is a really important trick. This is, again, really, really critical to setting these things up properly. And there's a couple of tricks that I want to try to point out here, and then maybe we'll turn it over to Sarah. But probably by then there'll be somebody on the line that I need to address with this appointment. But a couple other little tricks that I want to mention to you. One is when you are trying to share your contact with other people, there's a way to do that directly from the contact or the phone app. And we're going to learn about the phone app today. There's a contacts tab in the phone app, which is basically the same thing as using the contacts app itself. And what happens is people say, well, what's your phone number? What's your email address? I want to stay in touch. Networking, so important, right? So we can share our contact card right from within the card. There's an option that says share contact. But now here's the question. What if I perhaps don't want everything? Maybe there's personal information in there that I only want to share with my family and my closest friends, and I wouldn't share it with, coworkers and so forth. There are two ways to deal with that. One is that when you are sharing your contact, there is actually an option new in iOS 16 to filter contact entry fields. So when you say share contact, there's a button that says filter. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to say, okay, I want to share my first name, my last name, and my iPhone number, but I don't want to share my home address. I don't want to share my family members' names. I don't want to share my, whatever else I don't want to share. I only want to share these things. So you can actually filter on a case-by-case basis as you are sharing. It only affects the sharing process for that particular instance. And this is a great way to share your own contact without sharing everything in the contact card. The other way to do this, and this is the second way I recommend if you... Go ahead.
Oh, I just found that, and I was sending a contact card to somebody for my sister, and I'm like, well, I don't want to share her birthday because maybe she doesn't want to. I don't want to share her address because maybe she doesn't want to. So, I gave the home phone, not the mobile phone. So it was really kind of cool that I didn't have to have two different contact cards for that person.
Yes.
In order to not share possibly sensitive material.
Exactly. And so I think that's a great option that they've added. And then the second option that you have is exactly what Sarah just mentioned. And I think that this is still practical in some instances, and that is to actually have two contact cards for yourself. Now, I think this is especially useful if you do run a business. And that's how I do it. And even though the filter options are there, I will continue to do it that way because the contact card for my business looks very different than the one for my home. And, it's sorted differently. It's got the business name and it doesn't have my personal name and, all of these other things. And so it just makes more sense in this instance to have two separate contact cards. So I can share my business contact card with people directly. And there are even smart business cards you can buy that you can program to use NFC. Somebody just taps them on their phone and it adds your contact info. There's a lot of options you have. Of course, you can use AirDrop, which we'll learn about in this class later. So sharing your contacts, that's the other really cool little tip that I wanted to give you. The last one is that it is now possible to create contact groups, or
because he'll just pop right back, and you probably want to hear him and not me. One thing I can say is that I love to create a custom made label for the phone. And, whether it's, you can choose home, you can choose mobile, you can choose, and then go all the way down to the bottom where it says custom label. And you can write in, garage phone number or front desk number. So it's super helpful when you're trying to remember when you call AT&T or your doctor's office what the receptionist's name was or your contact name was. Instead of putting it in the notes, you can have it right there and not remember, but see what it is that your brain is not remembering. You raised your hand.
Okay. I just noticed
Hi.
something. Yeah, hi there, Sarah. But yeah, I just noticed something in here. I don't know if you can answer this or not. The basically guys Matt kind of broke his own rules because right at beginning of the class when he said for a proper contact card, it should be one contact card per person. Then in sharing, he said like if you don't want to deal with only sharing certain, fields of information with people, you said use multiple contact cards, use 2 contact cards. So
Well, I think mostly what he was actually addressing was your own contact card for the most part. I mean, you
my
can
own
choose to
contact
do it
card.
however you would like because it's your phone, your contact, et cetera, et cetera.
I got
But
you.
yeah, you can have one with your brother, sister, wife, whatever, boss. And then you don't want to send that out to somebody. You just have your name and your whatever phone number that you want to hand out, but you won't have, notes about your doctor or whatever. So it's mostly about your own. And now you can personalize the ones that you send out of other people by this new tricky filtering system.
For the filtering system. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, everybody. My very well behaved guide dog. I'm going to go elsewhere. Diane, I
Hi.
think you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I did. My question is,
Hi.
okay, let's say you do the two, let's say you do the two contact cards, and you have the information that you just want to give to people. You don't want to give them everything, so you have two of them. Well,
Yeah.
what's a good way to know which one's which?
Well, I mean, you could use your first name on one, or your first name and your last initial. Oh, and then on the one that you have most everything on, you can have your first name and your last name. I mean, there's tricks. Or you
Yeah.
can you can name it something else, like a nickname of yours.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't want to send out the wrong one if you know.
Exactly. And in fact, I forget, like I go in and I'm like, wait, which is the sensitive one?
Yeah, that
So
would be
just
my problem. So
yeah, just go in and make sure that you know what's what.
Yeah.
Before you send it.
Sounds good. All right, thanks.
Sure. Lynn, I just think I sent you an unmute button or a request.
Hello?
Oh, is that my Lynn?
It's your Lynn, and
Hi, Lynn.
I've been here, and I texted Matt and the group saying I could join today. Hi, everybody. It's been a while. I just
Okay.
wanted to preface by saying that I had work obligations and missed all of you, and now if you want me to be on here with you, Sarah, I'm available.
Good. Okay. Well, now we are unmuting people.
Okay.
For
Right, you're the host.
For them to, yeah. I can't listen to voiceover and talk at the same time. I
know it's
okay.
It's really hard to do that.
Okay, I'll find it. Okay, somebody named Dixie, I think.
Hi, yes, I'm Dixie.
Hi,
Hi, Dixie.
What I do with my card for my private card and my personal card, my private card has my legal name plus my middle name. So that way, and then my personal card is just my nickname and my last name. So they look a lot different that way.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's because there are times when you meet people that you like we were saying earlier, you don't want certain information to be shared. So,
well, that's actually why I didn't recognize you, Lynn, because it says Lynn P. And I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like the whole time I'm going, I'm here. My hand's raised.
All right.
Okay,
Okay, let's go. Oops.
I'm so excited to be here. I should be quiet, but you know me.
Okay. Lorraine?
Yeah, it's Mala Narain.
Mala. That's
Yes.
nice.
Yes,
Nice name.
Thank you. I just want to say this is the first session I'm on. Did I miss ones before? If so, can I get the recordings? Because I've only started today. I didn't. And would I get the recordings for these sessions, or would they come to us to register?
You can.
And then you
can.
Yeah.
Did you already sign up for the newsletter? And
I'm getting the CCB newsletter. Yes, but not the newsletter for this. No.
Okay, so it has to be through here. It has to be through Matthew's.
Because I don't have his. I just signed up for the
TTJ.
sessions, and if you can please send me an email with it. I don't know. And you said there were videos. I don't know where I can find those. If I
They're on
Yes.
YouTube.
He posted them, they're YouTube
Oh.
videos. And he has posted them, but you can find them on the website, on the TTJ website.
TTJ.
Lynn, how does she sign up for?
Okay,
you know,
it stands for the Tech Juggernaut. So I don't know the address because he changed it. The end of it is biz. It was maybe it's TTJ.
TTJ Tech info at or .info at.
I'm really bad at this. I'm
Well, I don't
sorry.
know
I'm not.
if somebody can send me the email with it, or text me. I don't know. WI.
When Matt comes, are you going to be on for a while?
Yeah. For until 3.
Okay.
Until
So we'll
3,
ask
yeah.
Matt to announce the best way to reach, so that you can get, did you register? You must have
I
registered.
registered
Well,
for
that's
of course.
today. Yes.
So if you registered today and you were able to get on this because you were sent that, then we can just have Matt resend that email
Yeah,
that he sent
right.
to everybody with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
YouTube address. So
Can you
not to
spell your
worry.
I actually
first
didn't
name?
register today. I registered before and I got it. I just joined today. I thought it was only from today. It's beginning. I didn't realize there were sessions before today.
Can you spell your
Yes.
first name?
My first name is Mala. My last name is Naraine.
Okay. M-A-L, we
LA.
said M-A-L-A.
MALA. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not on, I'm sure you're the only Mala.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we will make sure we tell Matt.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
tell me if you hear noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm
I
hearing some
do.
noise. I'm hearing some
Yeah,
noise.
I'm sorry. I will have to mute because I'm having some workmen here. And
Okay.
Sarah, can you mute me or should I?
Yes.
I'll
No,
find
no,
it.
no.
I'll find
I
it.
know. I just want everybody to know that I am also learning. Sorry about that. Okay, let's.
Wait, they stopped making the noise. Maybe next time they make it. I'm sure I can
You
mute
can't.
myself.
So you can't unmute or mute.
I can.
Wait.
I will.
Hold
I
on.
will mute myself as soon
Okay.
as the.
I will
No,
mute
I'm doing
now.
it.
Should I mute?
Sure. Okay, there is a phone number here that so I don't have the name of the person, but I just sent an oh, there you are.
Yeah, it's Judy. I know
Oh.
Matt said it was important to be as specific as possible, but can you explain why it's important to specify iPhone versus just putting everybody down as a mobile phone?
Because well, for me, one of the problems with me texting and being in touch with somebody with an Android is that a lot of times the texts don't send. So that's one of the reasons why I need to know if it's just mobile or if it's the iPhone.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it just makes it easier so that you know you're going iPhone to iPhone or you are contacting somebody with an Android.
Okay.
if
It's just
you
one
don't
extra step
care-
to have to ask somebody. It's like, is this an
Appreciate
iPhone number?
Oh, you know what? If you
Um,
were to change it,
Do appreciate
to-
your
hi Matt.
hi.
Matt?
Yep. No, I was just saying I'm back.
Oh.
I do appreciate you taking over there.
Sure,
I
I'm
appreciate
answering
it.
questions. There's a lot of people raising hands
Okay.
and stuff. And this one is
Okay.
somebody asking Judy asking about well, you can ask it yourself, Judy, about why we want mobile, why we want to specify that it's an iPhone or an Android or just, mobile. But, and I'm saying basically because iPhone to iPhone is, there's no tangle in between. I know that's the non-technical term.
Yeah, that's, so at the end of the day, it should not matter. The iPhone, the software should be able to be smart enough to know when it sees an iMessage compatible phone number, which we're going to learn all about iMessage later this week. But it should know when it sees, basically another Apple device, essentially, versus, an Android device or something like that, and should do everything that it's supposed to do. But as Sarah pointed out, and I would really strongly reiterate and encourage, it's kind of just like making sure that everything lines up and is the way that it's supposed to be. And it is, it's just kind of a triple check. I certainly do it. And I mean, why not? It's as easy as just making your selection. And I don't really, I suppose there could be some situation. I'm sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say also, if you were to go in there and, it says mobile and you change it to iPhone, if it's not an iPhone, it will change it momentarily, but it'll change it right back to mobile. So it knows.
Well, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So it's just better. It's just like keeping everything consistent across the board, making sure that everything, I just was dealing with a phone call with a technical issue that I was having. And, Sarah was so gracious and so wonderful to step up there and fill in for me while I stepped away. Not that I really gave her any choice, but, I'm kidding, of course, but it was kind of thrust on you last minute. So I do appreciate it. But the whole thing I was dealing with was what is, classically known in the industry as a provisioning issue, which was exactly the same kind of thing, totally unrelated, right? But it's just, fresh on the mind. So it's, and it was an issue of something not being put in the system correct. Everything was supposed to be correct. And to the average person, everything looked correct. I had to speak with a pretty high level advanced technician for the company I was dealing with for them to realize where the mistake was, because at first glance, everything looked correct. And, now it's completely solved. Praise God. I mean, the guy knew and was able to solve it in about 2 minutes. When you get the right person, it's amazing. But it's that same kind of thing. It's just like people. Well, it was about an hour for me, or maybe a little more, but still more than I wanted, I'll admit. But it's the same concept of just keeping everything consistent so that there are no possibilities for error. If you have a situation where maybe you don't feel comfortable asking a person if it's an iPhone, which I don't really think is a very invasive question, quite honestly, but maybe you do, maybe it's not something you want to, it's probably not going to matter at the end of the day. But whenever you can, I would make the decision that corresponds to the device that the other person has.
The other thing, Matt, you were, I think just before you left, you were actually right in the beginning of your talk, you were talking about putting your business label in first, so that the contact card is identified as the business primarily. If you don't do that,
right,
can you just delete the name and business and re-input it, or do you have to restart the entire contact?
I think that's a fantastic question to which I'm not 100% sure of the answer. I strongly suspect that as long as you delete all 3 fields and then put them in the correct sequence, that should fix the problem. But that's truly a hypothesis. I could be wrong. And I would say just test it. But I would think that rather than having to, re-enter the whole contact, you should be able to do that as long as you delete all 3 fields first and then put them in. It should be okay. And again, go back to this, what we were talking about before I left too, which was that, having like 2 contacts for yourself if you are a business, because having one is just the business that you can share with people makes a lot of sense, you know. And now if it's, again, you know, the general rule of thumb is one contact per person. If that person also works for a business, what do you do? Well, that's case by case, right? So if you're putting your mom in there, or your husband or wife in there, or your son or daughter, and they happen to have a job, and you know they work for, doesn't matter what they work for, right? It, you know, it could be Lockheed Martin, or it could be Burger King, and you put that in there as their company, that's probably okay. But if you're dealing with a person where the company is the primary focus, that's when you want to use the company as the contact, and then add their name in. So there's, you know, there's all kinds of variants here, but the important thing is to have proper contact cards. And I'm going to show you now the advantage of this, just in the example I mentioned at the beginning of the call. And I said that I demonstrated after I was on the phone. I had enough devices, praise God. I had multiple iPads. I could have done it while I was on the phone, but I was afraid that that person would come back on the line and wouldn't hear me right away, and then would disconnect and would be back to square one. So you know, but here's what I'm going to demonstrate now. When is my wife's birthday? It's today. She's right too.
Happy
I actually
birthday.
did know that. I would, if I didn't know that, I'd end up in the doghouse, and I'm not even sure the dog wants me in there. No, I'm kidding. But
Matt, your
so
dog
it's that
doghouse
easy.
is
It's
way
that
too
easy to-
small.
You're exactly right. Our dog is way too small, and consequently our dog, well, she doesn't even, you know, she's a more like a person, you know, she uses the couches, the bed, you know, whatever. She really doesn't even, isn't even confined to anything like that. But yeah, you know, so this is one of the most easily demonstrated, of course, there are numerous others, but this is one of the most easily demonstrated benefits to having your contact cards set up properly. So when you go to create a contact and you see these fields in there, first name, last name, company, you know, the thing to do is to, anytime you want to add a phone number to your contact or an email address to your contact, there are buttons for that. They say add phone number and add email. Imagine that. And when you double tap them, you're instantly given an edit field in which you can type the phone number, the email, whatever, but you are also given to the left of that the label field for that particular phone number or email address. And that's where you choose those kinds of things that we were just talking about: iPhone, home, mobile, school, main, work. And again, you can even add custom ones. So, you know, like if you have a security system with professional monitoring, maybe you'll add a phone number in there with the label emergency or alarm monitoring service, or, you know, something like that. And then you can turn on emergency bypass, which I'm not going to discuss right at this moment. We're going to discuss that when we talk about focus modes. But it is very useful. And the other thing you'll find in your contact card when you add the contact, adding a new contact or editing an existing one, is as you scroll down to the bottom, there are options to add fields. You can add fields like middle name, nickname, and I mentioned birthday, and I mentioned relationships and related names, so that you can specify who these people are. All of these things are available, and some of them,
Also,
by the way, can
oh.
be done through Siri. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
But when the first time whenever you muted, I was also mentioning that you can have the phone, you know, the phone numbers custom labeled. For instance, you know, front desk, or you know, somebody's name, or, you know, assistant, or, you know, but you can custom label, because sometimes what you're given isn't specific to what you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can customize all that. And with the phone numbers, you can even put in dialing strings, you know, a comma. So let's say I have to call, you know, such and such a number, and then I have to wait a minute and I have to enter option 3 and option 6 and option 8. So you can, you know, you can even pre-program that. Now, I advise doing that with a grain of salt, right? The caveat there is people change their phone systems frequently. And more they're getting away from touch tone IVRs anyway and going to voice activated prompts, where you just say technical support or, whatever it is that you need. And so you want to be careful if you add a dialing string, that it's something that's reasonably, you feel has a chance of being reasonably long-lived and reasonably consistent. And of course, you can always delete it if it's not. You can take out the dialing string, but that's, another feature that is available. And then, the only other thing I was going to mention about that too, is that when you're adding all of these things, some of them can be done through Siri. So not everything, but I can do, for example, like I mentioned that I used the example of my wife's birthday, and I said, when is it? And if Siri didn't know, she would ask me and I could tell her, or I could tell her without being asked. I could push the side button or say, hey, you know who, and I could say, Jessica Volbrecht is my wife, and so-and-so is my, whatever. You can specify those things. You can specify your own nickname with Siri, and it goes into the contact card. So you say, Siri, call me whatever you want to be called, right? And it will update your nickname field for you, and Siri will refer to you that way. So some of this stuff, though not all, okay, it's not possible to create an entire contact card using Siri, but some of these little things can be tweaked using Siri. And then I think the only other thing, and we'll go back to questions if there are more questions, the other thing that I wanted to mention is I started talking about the lists. They are called lists. They're kind of like contact groups. This is brand new in iOS 16. So a lot of people have wanted the ability to have their contacts grouped. Okay. Maybe I am in charge of a church Bible study or a school soccer team, or my team, my corporate team at the office at work, or, whatever it may be. And we're communicating as a group, and everybody in the group needs to be able to get all the correspondence via email. So you can create what Apple calls a list. And a list is whatever contacts you want to add to that list. And so the best way to do this is to create your contacts first, because they're still going to stay in the all contacts list as well. Okay, that's everything. But then within the information in a contact field, there's an option to add it to a list. And so you can pick from an existing list that you've created. You can create a new one, a new list, and then the contact will show up in both places. It's still going to show up in your main list of all contacts, but it's also going to show up in that list. And the list is only the contacts that you've added to it. And of course, it's synced with iCloud. So this is really a useful feature. It is designed primarily for email, okay? And let me explain to you why I'm saying that. On Wednesday, we're going to learn about the Messages app. And one of the features in the Messages app is the ability to create a group conversation in Messages. And we can do a lot of different things with that group, depending on whether everybody has an Apple device. We're somewhat limited if somebody in the group doesn't. But if everybody has an Apple device, we really have a lot of robust functionality, right? We can actually name the group chat. So, this is my beach vacation planning chat, and this is my work meeting chat. We do that right in Messages, in the iMessage app, which is called Messages. And so there's so much we can do with these group conversations. We'll learn about it on Wednesday. And one of the things we can do with it is a group FaceTime call. I'm told that you can have up to 64 people now in a group FaceTime call. I think it started out as 32, but I heard somewhere it's now been raised up to 64. And either way, that's quite a large number. And basically, having that many people in the group.
FaceTime? Yeah, if you want to be on a FaceTime call with 64 people. I think that would be a very, very well, right. I'm sure there are, but I think it'd be quite a challenge. I think it would be, a bit overwhelming perhaps, because, FaceTime is not intended. I mean, and let me be clear, FaceTime is wonderful. I don't have any negative thing to say about FaceTime, but it's intended to be a personal thing. Okay. It's not intended to be a business conferencing service like Zoom is. And so you don't have the ability to force mute everybody like we do here in Zoom and stuff. So yeah, it could get quite overwhelming. Everybody's pretty much got
equal power. Now, when they come in through a link, it's a little bit different, but so you do have some of that same functionality. But yeah, no, I would agree with you, Sarah. It would be a bit much to have that many people. I think even 32 sounds a bit ambitious, but the feature is there. And I do love group FaceTime, and we'll learn about it Wednesday. So when you create groups that way in the Messages app or in the FaceTime app, those are specifically for Messages and FaceTime, and those are interchangeable. They're connected. So I can create a group in Messages and make a FaceTime call to it. I can create a group in FaceTime and then send messages to it. Okay, those are interchangeable. But the lists within contacts, probably more colloquially known as contact groups in the vernacular, those are specifically for email. And so if you are doing this in a professional setting where email is the best way to communicate with people, then that's going to be very, very handy to create this list within, or these lists within your contacts app. Sarah, anything you want to add to any of this stuff? Did I hear while I was on the phone, did I hear trainer Lynn's voice?
Yes, I was going to say two things. One is that Lynn is, she muted, or I muted her. So if you made her co-host, she could mute and unmute herself, but she has some work being done on her kitchen. So it was loud, and she chose for me to mute her. So
I'll make her co-host now.
Okay, that's the one thing. The other thing is there's a woman named Mala who is on the phone. She says that she had signed up for this class, but didn't know that it started before today. And she is wanting and hoping to get your email for the YouTube address in order to listen to the classes that she missed. So her name's Mala, and she's on here.
Okay. So you said the name of this again. I'm sorry.
Her name's Mala, and I'm looking for her.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of people.
Do you know if
here
she's?
with
I mean,
phone
not that we
numbers.
need to talk about her as if she's not here.
Wait, say that again.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you know if she signed up for the course through the website, or how did she end up getting the information to join?
I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure she did it through the website, which means that I think she said something about CCB or ACB. Oh, there you are.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to say the same thing Sarah said. Like, I'm not sure how she got in here, but she first said something that was not TTJ. So maybe you sent out the invitation through any other sites that she went through? I'm not sure. No.
Well, somebody may have. I don't know that I necessarily did, but sometimes other people do forward that stuff.
Mala has her hand raised.
Her hand up. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for her, but there are so many people here who just have phone numbers instead of names.
Yeah, we should probably tell them how to fix that.
Hi, it's Mala. I'm not on the phone. I'm
Hi,
on
how
Zoom.
you doing?
Hi, I'm on Zoom. I got this thing from the CCB newsletter, the Canadian CCB newsletter, and they only had it starting from today. They didn't have the previous sessions.
Well, here's what I would encourage. And first of all, we're very glad to have you. Thanks so much for coming in and putting your hand up and letting us know you needed this help so we can get you what you need. So welcome, and we're very glad to meet you. What I would encourage you to do, and maybe Sarah already did this because Sarah's on top of things, but what you want to do is go to the website for our business, which is so the web address is ttjtech.biz. That's Tango Juliet, TTJ, and then the word tech, TECH, .B as in boy, I as in indigo, Z as in zebra, ttjtech.biz. And
That's a
there
lot
is
better
a
than what we
link
were guessing.
to
Yeah,
subscribe.
I just have to write it down, or
What's that?
somebody- I have to write it down, and I'm low vision, so it's really
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking to the choir.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take
So
your
it's
time.
it,
Take your time.
so it's TTJ
Yes.
TTJ
Yes.
dot
Yes.
TTJ
No,
No,
TTJ
No.
Tech,
Tech.
Tech TEC right
H.
H TTJ dot tech right
No
And then-
dot, no dot.
oh,
TTJ Tech,
mhm.
then the dot, and B as in boy, I, Z as in zebra.
Okay. T T J T E C H E I Z. Yes, and that's
Right.
it. And then I register.
Right.
But what do I do when I get that? I
So
register.
once you're there,
Mhm.
there is a subscribe button, and if you tap on the subscribe button, it will let you enter your email address,
Mhm.
and that is how we communicate with everybody. And so we've sent out the YouTube link, but we're going to send it out again this week to remind everybody. And so you get the YouTube
Mhm.
link as soon as you subscribe. You'll get those that link, and that way you will know how
Mhm.
to access the previous classes on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
Matt, I am going to, can you mute me and then unmute me in about 5 minutes? Because
You're,
I'm gonna
you're-
go
Lynn.
outside.
Oh, you
Lynn, you're host.
What?
You're a co-host, which means
Oh, so I can
that
unmute?
you can do it yourself.
Okay, I'm looking here for. Oh, okay, I got it. I'll unmute as soon as I'm in a quiet place. Okay? Can you
all
hear
right?
me?
Sounds good. Thanks, Lynn. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I think Mala was just asking how she signs up when she gets to the website.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I was. There's a subscribe button, and then it'll just ask you to enter your email address, and that's all you need to do.
And did we want to tell people how to change their phone numbers into names?
I think that would be a good idea.
Because there's a lot of people here with just phone numbers, which I
Right,
know we can
right.
change it, but it's much better if they do.
Right. So the way to do that, there's a couple of ways to do it actually. And what I would encourage you to do is go to settings on your device, not in Zoom, but just settings on your device. So this pertains to folks who are their devices are showing up with a phone number instead of a name in Zoom. So what Sarah's talking about is we have a whole bunch of participants who are not listed by their name. Instead, they're listed by 301-202-1234, something like that. They don't have a name associated with their phone number. And so then when you raise your hand and you want assistance, it's very difficult for us to know. And the other people that this relates to are folks who don't have a phone number, but just have a device name like iPhone. We have a bunch of those too, where it doesn't say your actual name. It just says, iPhone. So how do you fix this? Again, you're going to go to device, your actual iPhone settings or iPad settings. Okay. Then you're going to go to general. Once you go to general, you're going to go to About. Right at the top of the About screen, as you swipe left and right, you'll find an edit field to name your device. And with the iPhone, you know, it might default to iPhone or iPhone 2 or iPhone 3 or something like that. And so if you put a name in there, if you actually put, you know, instead of iPhone, you say, well, it's John's iPhone, then that's all you need to do for joining by Zoom. And it will automatically update in the Zoom app the next time you join. But now, Sarah, does that work if they call in? Because I think those phone numbers that we're seeing are from people that didn't join by the app and instead joined by dial-in. So are they able to rename themselves?
Well, I believe they can, because it's identifying the phone, not the method, right? So if your phone is named, then unless they're, on a home phone, but if they're coming in through their own device, then that their phone will be identified by Zoom as that, as that name.
And that should be enough then, right?
I'm assuming so.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the primary recommended way to do that.
So remember, everybody, for those of you who are beginners, when you go into settings, you're going to do that single finger swipe to the right till you get to general, then double tap on general, then About is right at the top, and double tap on About, and then you can go on to naming it. And for those of you who have been in every single one of these classes, you already know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So do we have any other questions about contacts? We'll share a couple other things about contacts and the phone app. And then Wednesday, we're going to start with messages. Wednesday, that's the big excitement. We're going to do messages and FaceTime on Wednesday.
Okay, well, there's a hand raised.
Yep.
But it's a phone number. Oops. It keeps switching on me. Okay, I just asked a phone number to unmute.
Okay, great.
This is Judy. You already answered my question, so I don't know why I'm still highlighted.
Okay, I'll lower your hand. Sorry about that.
All right, anybody else? Any other questions about contacts? Okay, I see a raised hand there. There we go. Sent you an unmute request. Just
Did you send that to Wen?
yes, I did. I'll send
Okay.
another.
Oh, hi. Can you?
There you.
Hi, you mentioned we could create list on contact. Where does it show? I see group, but I don't see list.